Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips. I have a couple of exciting announcements. First of all, some of you might remember my beautiful cat Schroeder, who died last year at the age of 19 on his 19th birthday, and who lived a long, long time after he was supposed to. He had terminal kidney disease because of a couple of things, one of which was a vet here in town, an alternative vet, who had so many creative ideas about how to deal with his kidney issues and then all the other things that cropped up while we were dealing with the kidney issues. And so he had a wonderful, wonderful life, quality of life up until almost the very end. And he died at home. And it was, if you're going to lose a pet, it's the best way to do it. Well, she's going to speak at our conference this year, and she's going to talk about alternative medicine for pets and some of the options that are available. She'll be answering questions. And so for those of you who are like me, animal lovers, and you'd like to hear about options for your critters, she's a marvelous resource. And she's already been here to see Sir Winston. And we have some ideas on how to fix the rest of his problems, because as some of you know, Winston came here with a whole lot of problems. So it's a resource. Dr. Gifford is a resource that is just so valuable to all of us. Second thing, this week on Thursday, free tour of Wellness Forum and a Q&A with me. If you're not a member, thinking about it and wanting some more details before you commit, this is your opportunity. So that's Thursday, the 22nd. And then in July and August, I'm going to have a couple of free healthcare workshops, 2 in July, 2 in August. One called Reinventing Yourself in Independent Practice, and the other a sample class. So for those of you who are thinking of training with us in preparation for fall semester, this is your opportunity to learn a little bit more about our training programs and what it's like to be in private practice. I mean, some of you can visualize it. Some of you maybe already are, but you'd like to be more successful at it. So these workshops are free. They're designed to give you some insight into how to do better. I promise you'll know more at the end of the workshop, and you just may want to do some more training with us. If not, you'll walk away from the free workshop with plenty of information. So if any of that interests you, send me an email at pampopper@msn.com. And also don't forget two more weeks of smoothie special. And the smoothie special is you purchase at least 1 month of smoothie and you get a dollar for dollar application toward courses that you might want to take. And we have a bunch of them, like 3,000 hours worth. So I promise you there's stuff you're going to want to take, right? So pampopper@msn.com if you're interested in any of that stuff. All right, so let's get to today's topic. So last week, I posted a video about the updated mammogram guidelines, and I got a lot of emails from you about that, asking about, what should you do and what about alternatives and et cetera. So there was enough to make another video about and comment to the general public, right? So first, some of you wrote to tell me that you or someone you knew benefited from screening mammography. So a couple of clarifications I wanted to add to that. First, I didn't and have never said that nobody benefits from mammograms. The issue is that most women don't benefit. For every woman who does benefit, between 3 and 10 are harmed by overdiagnosis and overtreatment, depending upon which studies you're looking at. And my only point is I think women should know this before they consent to a mammogram. In other words, I'm not trying to promote any particular course of action as much as just all of the information before you choose a particular course of action. Also, keep in mind that almost everything that is offered in medicine benefits some people. The problem is the broad use, which makes it much more profitable, but we end up using tests and treatments on people that generally can't benefit. So that's something I continue to point out. Second major point, in many cases, those who are reporting that somebody that they know has benefited don't know a lot about the case. I've found this in personal interactions with people one-on-one. So in other words, the probability that the woman had cancer versus not cancer, that issue arose, DCIS, for example, is high. Most women who with DCIS, ductal carcinoma in situ, who are treated for cancer are overtreated and belong to the harmed by mammography group rather than the saved by it group. And so unless you have personal knowledge of the individual person, the diagnosis, and the treatment, then you may not know if this is a real breast cancer patient who survived or one who actually would consider herself a survival of the unnecessary treatment. Two different things, right? Third, since I've been talking about the cost of healthcare and the need to rein it in before we can have a new healthcare system, some of you thought that perhaps my comments were setting the stage for rationing care. Not true. To be clear, a woman who has shown accurate data about risks and benefits and chooses to have a mammogram anyway should have access to it and should have it reimbursable. My work is not about rationing healthcare. And again, as I said earlier, it's not about pushing people in one direction or another. It's rather about making choices based on evidence. As it turns out, when people make choices based on evidence and they have all of the information, they tend to use less healthcare, and that does reduce costs. But that's a byproduct of the right approach, not the intended goal, although it is necessary to do that if we're ever going to have another healthcare system. Now, many of you asked about thermography as an alternative. It's not. It's promoted principally as being safer than mammograms because it doesn't involve exposure to radiation. Thermography screens for cancer by detecting temperature differences in the breast, and cancer cells and tumors are warmer due to the increased blood flow and a higher rate of metabolism. But cancer is not the only reason for these heat differentials that show up. Inflammation, exercise, hormonal changes due to menstrual cycles can contribute, as can obesity, and large breasts contribute to inaccurate readings. The false positive rate for thermograms is even higher than it is for mammograms, and studies show that there is great variation in the analysis depending upon which thermographer is reading the image versus another one. I'll write a reference paper on this as soon as possible and post it in our library, but this is enough to give you an idea of what the limitations are and that it is not a good screening tool, population screening tool. Last but not least, the question that I'm asked most often, not just about breast cancer screening, but about cancer screening. When I talk about, we have one cancer screening tool, Pap test, that actually reduces the risk of dying of cancer, of cervical cancer, and the others, population screening, just doesn't. People say, well, gosh, what am I supposed to do? And this is perhaps the most important point of all. Population screening for cancer doesn't reduce the risk of dying of cancer, but as long as people believe that it does and it's promoted as doing it, it distracts from what really does reduce the risk of cancer and death from cancer: lifestyle habits. These include achieving and maintaining optimal weight, good diet, hydration, and exercise, and also things like addressing stress, not to get rid of it, but to minimize its impact, cultivating good social connections, happiness, purpose in life, and other related issues. In other words, paying attention to the totality of your life. It's impossible to reduce your risk to zero. And I think that that's important to help people understand, because once in a while, it does so happen that somebody who's taken excellent care of herself or himself, eating a great diet, gets cancer. But most cancers are preventable if people do the right things. And hanging out with doctors and incessant testing are not among the list of the right things to do. So I hope that clarifies it. I felt that there was enough dialogue back and forth that a follow-up was a good idea. And there you have it. And I hope that that's helpful. So if you're interested in any of the things that I talked about, remember my email address is pampopper@msn.com. Don't forget the 2-for-1 smoothie offer that's going to go away in another couple weeks. So take advantage of it now. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it, and I will be back to you tomorrow with more news.